Heaton, how's your Christmas special going? This is right about the time annually we mark it here in the Young household where Heaton's mental sanity begins to break down. We have like kind of an advent calendar where first it's just Heaton being angry that he's doing the Christmas special. Then it's the psychosis. Then there's the screaming and yelling of why this thing. And then there's some mysterious problem that happens with his computer that he doesn't know why it's happening. And it's like the CD tray won't go in. And that's why I need to burn the house down. So where are we right now?
You know what? We're sitting pretty. I think the psychosis was over the weekend. That was the pinch point every year on the Christmas special is, oh, fuck, what am I going to do this year on the Christmas special? So last year, we ran out of making fun of Christmas. There's no more. We've tapped it. I can't think of a single Christmas-related sketch to do. So now we're just doing comedy bits that happen to be set at Christmas. That's what last year was. Last year we did, Jen, you may not have tuned in, but we actually just did a rerun last year. It was from my 1987 crime show, Spy Solvers, Heaton and Monkey. And so we did that. This year, same numinous terror of, oh God, that's it. I'm done. I'm tapped. But I was able to plow through and get the thing written. I think it's pretty funny. I was miraculously able to get all but now 2 of the parts recorded, which I was worried about because we started recording much later than I would have liked. And fortunately, yourself and other people contributing were very, very gracious with their time to operate in a limited window. And I've been cutting it as much as I can as I'm recording, which helps tremendously. It means that Saturday, when I do my all-day editing palooza, I'll already have a lot of the cut. So typically what we do is we'll do like a clean run through, a second run through for safety, and then a third one where we play with it. And that means that I go through all of it and pick the very best iteration of every single line everybody says. It's very time consuming, but I'm already kind of ahead of the game on that. So I think it'll be okay. I think we're going to skip what I did last year, which is edit for 2 days, delay my trip back to Oklahoma, and then en route, wake up, edit, drive 10 hours, edit another 2 hours, go to sleep, wake up, edit, listen to it while I'm driving, stop at Buc-ee's to edit. Like, I think I can avoid that hellscape this year and just get it done before I leave.
But you haven't started editing?
No, other than the cutting. I've not started the editing yet, but that's all Saturday. Maybe Sunday. I might have to.
This is...
This is the false promise bit where I'm like, it'll be fine.
Just hear those sleigh bells jingling, Heaton going crazy. You haven't begun. Oh, this is gonna be great. We all love it. Jen, you have fled Hungary, and now you have found yourself nestled in the warm embrace, the Iberian embrace of España, huh?
Yes. Thank God. I did not see the sun for almost a month, and it was really starting to affect me. And so, we're back in Spain. We're in Alicante, although I haven't seen... We're staying in the downtown area, so we've been able to go out and like have a couple meals. But Joe and I are trying to get all our work done this week so that during the holidays, I can actually like check out of Congress. So this lovely hotel room has kind of been my prison because I've just been in here trying to bang out 2 episodes of Congressional Dish and Last Week in Congress and do this. So it's just been, it's been a lot, but I think it'll pay off when I get to check out of this hellscape of a Congress for a few weeks. I'm excited for it.
It's doing fun stuff though. There's like another discharge petition that's discharging and.
I know. I mean, that's kind of fun. I like to see... You know, there's some chaos in the Republican Party that I'm really enjoying now, and seeing some like cracks in the absolute abdication of their responsibility that has been this entire year. So I have more faith in next year being less awful. I think it'll still be stupid, but I think it'll at least
nothing will happen. I think they're in like 7 days all told in 2026 because half of the Republican slate is running for governor. The other half are running for their jobs. So, like,
I know
nothing's getting done at
they're
all
keeping
whatsoever.
The whole August recess, which is there every year, is on the calendar. They're also taking all of October off, and it's still, at least for now, being run by Mike Johnson, who really doesn't like to work. So he took off an extra 2 months this year. So next year, I don't know, I might be really fishing for stories, but I am watching some cracks, especially in the Senate. So I think there might be some spicy hearings in the Senate, at least fingers crossed, because I'm bored.
I was very heartened by the development in Indiana. I took great comfort in that. For anybody unfamiliar with this, the Indiana state legislature, which is Republican, voted to not use their gerrymander to fuck map. They decided that they were going to err on the side of democracy, and they deserve due credit for that. And the Trump White House was pushing them, no, do the super gerrymandered one. That way we get more Republicans out of it. And they ultimately decided they would rather have competitive democracy than a Republican advantage, or at least more of a Republican advantage. They deserve due credit for that, and probably had a lot of pressure on them from the White House, if not their constituents. They did. So shout out to Indiana and your legislators. They're actually doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, Trump already seems to be losing his power.
Unless what your constituents want is to have that map. In that case, they are not doing your work.
Yes, if your constituents don't like democracy because you've gerrymandered it as such that you just want more gerrymandering, I guess you could make that case. But I'm going to err the I get so few wins.
Don't worry,
Justin.
no. They know better than you. They know better than you. They have better brains.
Justin,
than you.
Have you met constituents? They're fucking stupid. I'll step out on this. If they wanted to run the Roma out with pitchforks, I'd be against that too, even if that had a majority vote. Yay, democracy. You want to have a vote to end democracy or make it harder. I'm not going to assist you on that.
Although there's a lot of questions about the dummy mander. That a lot of these, Democrats are not upset about the Texas redraw now because they're like,
what?
You just made a bunch more districts more competitive.
Oh,
yeah, they took some red districts and made them pink. So,
well, that's the idea when you're trying to essentially draw out the opposition party is that you take plus 50 districts and you make them plus 25, which if you believe that you are going to get that plus 25, then it is what it is. Usually anything within 10 is considered let's try. But the big question is where, a lot of these regressions, whether or not 26 is going to look more like 22, does it look more like 24? Does it, so we'll see. But I don't know.
You know what? Hats off to the integrity of the Indiana state legislature and the incompetency of the Texan state legislature. Let us hope that somewhere in the middle, democracy will flourish.
And by that, you mean more Democratic House members?
I just want more competitive democracy.
I want more Democratic House members. I'm willing to say it. I want some fucking oversight, and I want it right now. So if I have to wait until November to have some hope, fine. But I want it. I want those last 2 years of the Trump administration. I want investigations because there's some crazy stuff happening right now. So I'll say it. I want more Democrats.
Yeah. Heaton, are you going to say it? Come on, go mask off.
Nope. I'm for the referee. I'm on team judge. I'm not on team prosecutor.
Bullshit. Fucking liar.
No, for real though, I want the Republicans to be saner and I want the Democrats to be saner, but I don't typically root for one team over the other. I guess I'd like the Republicans to get a shellacking as long as they're Trump people, but overall though, I'm more concerned with structure than I am with teams.
Yeah, except for now.
Massey, Fitzpatrick, Rand Paul, Murkowski. Those are the only Republicans that are not always Trump people. The rest of them, gone.
Yeah.
That's what I'm rooting for.
Obviously Trump is a paragraph in people's minds, but it's usually in times where, there's not as active an executive, and two houses are of the same party as the president, people fall in line and they pass things. That's what happened with Biden.
Not like this.
How do you mean not like this?
They are putting some truly crazy people into our government in a unprecedented way with these mass confirmations. They went from confirming 48 people to over 100 people. And now I don't know if they have done it, but they have set the stage to do it with another 96 people. Because
the Democrats were slow walking it before.
Yeah, as the Republicans did in the past, that is how the Senate works. That's why they say they
not in the same way. Come on, we had the conversation when it was happening. Not in the same way that the Democrats were doing in the Senate.
That doesn't excuse having 3 votes to confirm over 250 people. That is not a proper process.
The system's fucked, but this is a push and pull.
Yeah, and then there's the big, beautiful bill, which legalized indefinite detention of American citizens, which we are seeing happening in real time. Like, they're doing some really extreme shit here that I think in the past, saner Republicans would be against. Like, I think there would have been investigations of American citizens being locked up, and I think Republicans would have at least participated in the hearing. My next episode of Congressional Dish, after the one I'm releasing now, there was a shadow hearing held by Democrats because the Republicans refused to investigate this. They also have not investigated us bombing now 25 boats full of who fucking knows who, which just looks like murder to everyone who seems to know anything. Like, these are unprecedented actions, and the Republicans are running cover for it. I do not think that this is like normal in the past, like the party falls in line. I think this is out of bounds.
I do. Okay, that's fine. You're allowed to think that. I also think that the party falls in line. And that's what happened.
But have we ever seen anything like this?
It depends on where your line on anything like this is. Like, obviously, it's been triggered for you, but there have been other times where people have thought that there's lawless actions that have been taken by the executive, and they would beg and plead for people that had no loyalty to them and they outwardly hated to do something that they would otherwise not do.
Take off neutral journalist hat and tell me what fucking Justin thinks. Do you think that this is out of bounds crazy shit?
What the Trump administration is doing?
Yes.
I mean, I think a lot of stuff that happens is out of bounds crazy shit. So
Stop
it's like,
it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the murders at sea and the taking people off the street.
No,
Can
we
you
already
say
have
that this
two
is
people
crazy?
who are mask off partisans. I have to have something for people that don't agree with you guys.
Justin, be a human.
No, I refuse.
I also refuse to be a human. Hey, Jen.
No.
Seriously though, Jen, when you're covering all this, will you let me know if I'm up for a nomination in something? Like if I'm part of that dragnet, would you just like ping me, like text me? Would you? Don't signal me, text me if I'm like up for.
I would love to see your name on one of these lists. That would be so fun for me. I would freak out. That would be great. But
be a really funny day.
Be a really funny on.
Yeah,
I know. Do you want to be an ambassador? If you were gonna get a surprise ambassadorship, what would you want?
I'd want to be the special envoy to Scotland, of course. We don't have an ambassador because it's not a separate country.
That makes sense.
But like consul general or something like that. Outside of that, if we're going to preclude the United Kingdom, I don't know. My mind's on Hungary right now. I think that would be really interesting. It would be really, really interesting to be over there. So maybe they're definitely
you'd be well received. You know, now is a high time for American-Hungarian relations.
Yeah, great. Sounds like it'd be fun.
I'll
throw some parties.
A joke about me. I feel like you mean?
I think it's more of the Orban-Trump bromance.
Yeah, Orban and Trump like spoon each other when they're near each other. They cup each other's breasts lovingly.
Hot. That's an image.
I take it back. Switzerland. I'm going to go with Switzerland. That'd be fucking amazing. Like I think it's a fascinating country.
You can't
really
pick Europe. Over there. Pick a non-Europe thing. You got to go somewhere where you can where you're exotic, where a tall white man is like, hey, look at him.
Either Japan or Singapore. Probably Japan. That'd be fun.
I'd go there too because I feel like I could compete in basketball.
That'd be neat. If I was the ambassador and I was like just pretty good at. When I was in China a few years ago, I was in Xi'an, and I gather that high-fiving just wasn't a thing in Xi'an at that time. And there was a group that was that assembled to sing to us as students. It was very nice. And I was so excited that afterwards I ran up to high five them. But from their perspective, just a guy a foot taller than them came running at them with his hand up, and they all scattered like I was going to try to swat him. And I didn't. I held back.
That's good. You resisted the urge to swat the Chinese.
I was, again, it was going to be a high five. It was out of love. It was high five.
Well, I nominate you for Chinese ambassador then. You are
qualified.
Me too. Yeah. That sounds like more work than I want.
From Austin, Texas, I'm Justin Robert Young. From Alicante, Spain,
I'm Jennifer Briney.
And from Washington, D.C.,
I'm Andrew Heaton.
And we're not wrong. On this edition of the program, we're going to talk about the fact that there is a mass shooting suspect who is still at large and whether or not That is a problem. And a wild series of interviews by Susie Wiles, the chief of staff for Jen's favorite administration, the 47th president of the United States, Donald John Trump.
Maybe 49th, maybe 52nd.
Stop it.
Well, not 40. Yeah, not apparently, according to Susie Wiles, he's done one of the revelations in this piece. But we'll get to that later, along with your email. Let's go ahead and start off with some good news. Just kidding. It's terrible. Police continue a manhunt for a gunman who killed 2 Brown University students and wounded 9 others in a classroom shooting Saturday in Providence, Rhode Island. Authorities say the shooter targeted the Baruch and Holly Engineering building and fled on foot. Surveillance video shows a person of interest dressed in black moving through nearby residential areas hours before and after the attack. But officials say no clear interior footage exists. The FBI is assisting local police, offering a $50,000 reward. Victims have been identified as sophomore Ella Cook and freshman Muhammad Aziz Amurkazov. The suspect remains at large as investigators analyze video and tips. Heaton, as of this recording, it will have been 90 hours since the shooting last Saturday. Just in general, if you are just a gatherer, a consumer of news, at what point does it become alarming that a suspect has not been caught in something as public and deadly as this?
I'd say within 10 minutes, probably, maybe within 5 minutes. If I were in Rhode Island, I think I would have been alarmed from the moment of the attack consistently until now. So no, it's absolutely horrible. I don't know. I don't know what the going rate is in terms of these things. I think part of what makes it aberrant is usually it's some fucking psychopath that just wants to take out a bunch of people and then shoots himself or dies in a firefight.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened. So we don't know what's going on. I think so far, the media that I have read has been pretty good about holding back on possible motives and coming up with potential reasons that it happened. We don't really know. We just know that this horrible shooting took place and that the guy is on the loose. And I would be concerned if I were all of those. But I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know what the dragnet effect is and whether they're prosecuting it well and when and how they'll find the guy. I hope they do it quick though.
Well, they say the first 48, right? That's why they made the show about it, is kind of the key window to catch somebody, because past that, you're now inviting the idea that they can be far outside of one jurisdiction, of like a county jurisdiction, a state jurisdiction. You can pretty much get outside of anywhere if you have planned things in a certain way. So this person is kind of in the breeze as we are, moving toward 90, 100 hours.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me that the likelihood that this person is a sane, mentally stable individual that will not do anything crazy or bad moving forward and will just fade into the background seems kind of minimal. If this were like, I don't know, robbing a bank or something, maybe they'd cash out and go to Cabo and that'd be it. We'd never hear from them again. But I kind of doubt that's the case. I doubt whoever this person is, did this one thing with no runner building up to it and will not do something else. Plus, I don't know, the amount of forensic evidence that they're able to uncover on a number of these things. It took them a long time to find the pipe bomber, but like with some of the other ones where they'll get the shell casings, they'll find the fingerprints on the shell casings. The amount of, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't think I'd ever kill anybody, but I definitely wouldn't do it now. I'm pretty sure I'd get caught. So I imagine that they will catch them in short order. I hope so.
By the way, I read a think piece the other day that the Unabomber would become the new Che Guevara because there's going to be a new Luddite revolution. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
He's not hot enough. He's not good looking enough. Che Guevara has that iconic shirt that makes you forget he wanted to kill the gays and drop a nuclear bomb on Manhattan so that a bunch of pissant sophomores can wear it to seem cool. You're not going to get that with Ted Kaczynski.
You don't think Ted Kaczynski took one good photo?
No, I think he looks like a nutball. Like his hair's all crazy.
Guys, the challenge has been laid down. Send us your designs of your most iconic, sexy Ted Kaczynski photos, and we'll see whether or not we can make it iconography. We're going to open up a t-shirt store, and we're going to make billions. Jen, worrisome?
Well, I mean, like, obviously, there's a murderer on the loose. But when I look at, like, Brown University in particular, I did read today that one of the reasons the investigation has been slowed down is that the university did something that I think actually makes a lot of sense, which is that the second this happened, they said, hey, students, if you want to go home early for winter break, go. And so campus has been pretty much emptied out, which means that a lot of the witnesses, they need to now be found via phone call or Zoom. And like, they didn't actually like collect all those students and get all of their information the day that it happened. And so that's slowing the
No wonder they're the
investigation
Kmart
down.
Ivy. That seems dumb as hell.
Why? I'm sure
Because
the
you have
students
a
fucking
murder
ran.
investigation.
I know, but I mean, it's a school shoot. They ran as they should, and they didn't come back to the classroom. Like, I get it. And then they get to go home because there's a murderer on the loose. I think the
But you know who's in the classroom? Maybe everybody that wasn't in the building or something like that. Everybody else stay put.
This happened on Saturday. It's Wednesday. I'm sure they are calling the people using these class, lists or anything. I think sometimes this stuff takes time. Like, I was in Boston during the Boston Marathon bombing. That happened on Monday. They didn't actually catch the motherfuckers till Friday. So like, or actually Jahar took a little bit longer than his brother. But that was 4 days. I mean, I think the expectation that the cops are somehow wizards that can just find these people right away. And what we learned with the Boston Marathon bombing is that the police and the FBI had a lot more information than they were giving to the public. So yeah, we've seen a picture of this fat shooter. That's all we have. That doesn't mean that's all they have. So while we are out here being like, oh, these investigators are taking so long, like, we don't know how much they're doing behind the scenes. So I'm just going to let the process happen. And, this is all concerning. All of it's concerning.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's, obviously, there's not much we can do about it. So that's why I try to frame it as like, as news consumers, like, what is a level of expectation before we're like, whoa, like if it goes 2 weeks, are we like, oh my God, like this is fucked up. If we don't have a name, like, within 2 weeks, I would say that's very aberrant, but like, we're not there yet. Although it is odd that we don't have any kind of, name, anything, really?
It would be ghoulish to take bets, so I'm not going to take a bet. However, I bet you he will be apprehended by Christmas. I think that I would be amazed if, I don't know, like, presumably it's some nut job who wanted to kill people because he's a frustrated, low status male that has mental problems. That kind of guy's it's not going to be a George Clooney breaking into a casino and making out with all the money kind of crime. There's gonna be stuff there. So I would be very alarmed if I were in Rhode Island. I feel terrible for the people that were shot. I would imagine that the students are going to have a pretty bad semester when they get back based on that. But I don't know. I think like I bet they're going to catch the guy.
Yeah,
just
and it's
generally.
There's no like this could be a guy that just went into a random classroom and no one knew him. So it's like the idea that we wouldn't have a name 4 days later. I'm not freaked out about that. I'm freaked out about the fact that someone went into a classroom full of students who were taking their finals and killed 2 of them and shot a bunch more. Like, that's the concerning thing. The investigation, like, the most horrific part of this was already done.
Well, obviously that's the root, but like, it is because we care about the root that we care about the investigation, right?
Yeah. Justin, I feel like you have something to say about this.
Yeah.
This is not the dystopia we were promised. I grew up in the fucking 90s and the 2000s when everybody was freaking out about like, oh, CCTVs, oh, infinite hard drive storage. They're going to network everything. We had movies and books about how we're going to live in this dystopic world where everybody was going to map our face and the government would know where everybody is at every single moment. And guess what? We have that to track our ads where they can give me an Amazon ad for a desk I already bought, but we don't have it for murderers. Like, how is that? Like, the one thing that we want dystopia for is when you go and fucking murder people that you're almost immediately apprehended because we have your secret DNA sniffers placed in all the plants in every single mall in McDonald's. Now, all of a sudden, we don't have for the actual thing that we want. This is my big problem. My big problem is that for whatever reason, and maybe it's because we're focused on this stuff more, and that on some level everything's political, and you have just this fever swamp of conspiracy that surrounds any and every action. But it does feel like horrible things happen and people are in the wind for longer than they used to. And I don't know if that's an element of my expectations, because I didn't, we used to only check in on these things once a day. The news would roll in for the day. Even in a digital era, we would just expect like, oh, okay, this is when everybody has done their reporting for the day. Boom. Now we know where the update in the case is. And now it is just like every second you're like, oh, don't have them. Oh, don't have them.
I don't think that it's taken longer to get people. It's just that we're hyper aware of every single bad thing that happens in America the second it occurs. But I'd have to look at the data on this. I would be shocked if the rate of unsolved murders is higher now than it was 20 years ago. I'd be shocked if the time with which they're apprehended is longer than it was 20 years ago. I would imagine, just with the sheer amount of the technology that has increased the ability to do forensic analysis, with the incredible trails that are left online. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever hung out with private investigators. They mostly dick around on the internet. Like, you meet these private investigators, you think they're going to be a cool dude in a trench coat, like drinking coffee out of a thermos at 4 a.m. No, they're just online looking at like divorce records. That's mostly what they're doing. So I would imagine that's all better. Like, I can say this now because the statute of limitations has passed, but I killed Jimmy Hoffa and no one ever came after me. No one knew what was up with that. I got away with that for 30 years? 30 years, 45 years since I killed Jimmy Hoffa, and no one ever caught me, right? But like, I wouldn't do that today, partly because I have better relations with organized labor. And also just, again, I think the ability of the law enforcement to come after me is much better now.
I don't really buy that we're seeing this all that often. I think one of the reasons why this Brown thing is even a topic on this show is because it is kind of rare that they don't catch the guy right away. Like, there was another shooting on the same exact day in Australia. We know that it was a father and son. We know they trained in the Philippines. We know they had ISIS flags. Like, we know a lot. Rob Reiner died yesterday. We know it was Nick. He's being held on a $400 bond, or $4 million bond. Like, we know who did it. And I feel like that's so...
We know everything about what happened with that. Like, that's something where I just feel bad because they went to a holiday party and now a bunch of other celebrities have to have their name used for fucking clicks because this horrifying tragedy happened a few hours afterward.
Yeah, like, I read it, like, it said like it was Conan O'Brien's holiday party. Yeah. And they were like,
and he had an argument with Bill Hader. Like, it's just like
now those guys have to think about that the rest of their lives of like, should I have called this out? I just thought he was being weird.
Even worse.
It's more like they're being hunted by the press.
Yeah, they're getting fucking reporters calling them saying, hey, do you have any comment on that weird thing that you had happened at a holiday party? Eventually, Rob Reiner's son knife murdered him and his mom. Like I don't know. But I mean, that there is an element of like, because we live in this interconnected world, we do know everything about people. Like, we do know almost immediately. I'd have to look up how long it took to get, Luigi Mangione, but like, even before,
I think it was then day.
we knew
like
about
at the McDonald's.
Yeah, but we knew about fucking his Reddit history. We knew about his surfing accident. We knew about all this kind of backstory about this dude, even before he was caught. And so that's where it's like, with this, it just feels like each day that it goes longer, that there is an information vacuum. It just feels phantom limb. Maybe I'm hyper like connected. Maybe I have an expectation that is unreasonable. I'm willing to say that, but it does feel odd.
Well, I think that's it. I think a lot of it is that I think part of the reason that we have bad vibes in the country right now is that there's a natural inclination towards negative bias in media. Not even conservative liberal, but just negative, right? People are attracted to bad things. And when you go back through old newspapers, big bad things do make headlines. They do, like if something really bad happens, if a guy is brutally slain in Philadelphia, that'll hit the Oklahoma newspapers in the 1950s. But media was a lot more parochial, and it's become national now. And there's always, in a country of 370 million people, something heinous happens every day somewhere in the country. So we're aware of it every time it happens everywhere in the country in a way that like 30, 40 years ago, you may just not know every bad thing that happened and therefore infer that life was better. I think life's actually probably better now, according to most metrics, but we're aware of all the bad shit in a way we've never been before. And globally too, like Jen brought up the shooting in Australia. Like we all were aware of that within very short order. So we know of every horrible thing that occurs around the world.
Well, that one would have gone around the world because of just the larger things that was, there's been a lot of conversation around a lot of that element. So it's like, there was a lot that everybody was going to chew on with that particular situation. Rob Reiner, obviously, anytime that there's a Hollywood murder of anybody who's been in anything, and there's a Hollywood death, like, right? Remember, like Brittany Murphy and her husband died, and that was literally just they had black mold in their shower, and that was a gigantic thing because people remember 8 Mile and the Penguin movie that she sang in, and like that was just, and Clueless, that we
and she was in King of the Hill.
Was she?
Wasn't she the one that played Luann?
I don't know.
I think so. Was she not?
This was a long time ago. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Anyway, Rob Reiner dying, if he died of cancer, would be big news. The fact that it was a horrifying murder, the fact that he was a political actor that got a horrifying reaction by the president. Like,
I was about to say, on that note, if I get murdered, will you all not tell the president? I would rather just not weigh in on my death in the event that happens.
I think that's safe.
Yeah.
I think that'll be all right.
You'd have to do a lot more work.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not on the radar. Yeah. Thank God.
He doesn't give a fuck about us.
I mean, like Rob Reiner put in the hours to get that truth. Like he made it his business to talk shit about Trump any and everywhere for fucking a decade.
So I suppose this will dovetail with our next story. Do you think anybody in the White House was like, hey, boss, maybe we should cut that message down a little bit before we put it out? Like a horrible thing happened in Hollywood. Good strong intro. R.I.P. Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner. Strong conclusion. Brevity is the soul of wit, boss. Do you think anybody actually tried to intervene there?
Do you think he's running these truths by anyone? I mean, one of the most interesting things in this Susie Wiles thing to me was that she has a live feed of his Truth Social in her office so that she can know what the fuck he's saying. So it's like, it wouldn't make a difference. I think he just, every time he goes to the toilet, he just this is what's on my mind. And
there's allegedly a person that he dictates to. That person has changed a few times. So it's
that person
very often
more. That person is going to be emotionally crippled for the rest of their lives.
He very rarely does it himself. Apparently he will tell people what to do.
Well, he can't type because of all that handshaking. His hands are all bruised. Like, how could he use his phone?
Are you in the hand bruise funnel?
I think he has dementia and that he's getting intravenous treatments once a month, and that's why his hands are bruised. That's my conspiracy theory. But they say handshaking. So, but I do think that to kind of stop this shit, if there is someone getting dictated to, they should have a separate Truth Social that Trump thinks is his that's going out publicly. And so they're like, see, we put it out, Mr. President. And then the rest of the world doesn't see it.
Do the Salamanca treatment. I think I've told you about this, Jen. My favorite dictator story, I believe it's Salamanca from Portugal. He was like an economist that they made dictator to the country. And he had a stroke and he was on his way out. And so the Portuguese legislature went, all right, enough of this strongman stuff. We're part of Europe. We really should be a functional democracy. We're just going to be a democracy. So they vote, we're not going to do a dictator or president for life anymore. We're going to be a proper democracy. But then he survives. And they're like, oh shit, we thought he was going to die. So they just send him to the Winter Palace, and they have a guy with a clipboard come in every day for 3 years to take his orders, and then they just burn him. So for 2-3 years, this fucking dictator is just living in retirement in deluded President Island. And they're like, oh, yes, sir, we bombed Spain. And then he died. really good way to deal with a dictator.
That's exactly what I'm saying we should do. Yes, I love that.
I think the truth was what Rob would have wanted.
It just proves everything he ever said about Trump.
What exactly? So what do you think he wanted Trump to be super gracious and be like
magnanimous?
The true Hollywood icon? I remember watching Harry Met Sally so many times. Castle Rock, one of the greatest production companies of all time, greenlit Seinfeld, fought for it against cancellation. He didn't want that. He wanted him to be nasty to him so everybody would be like, Rob Reiner's a great guy and fucking Donald Trump's a shitty guy. It was, in its own weird way, it was the greatest thing that Trump could have done for Rob Reiner.
This is the real 4D chess. This was, Trump went to the bathroom and he went, what could I do to truly honor the memory of Rob Reiner? I know it's not going to make me look good, but I'm willing to take one for the team. And then he tweeted that.
One of the things in American Canto, the Olivia Newsy book that I listened to on audiobook, as read by the author, she doesn't do the RFK voice, is
take off your blouse.
She talks about Trump as a frustrated actor, that he's apparently said that he was going to go to USC for film before he wound up going to Penn for business because he wanted to be a part of Hollywood. And that is, if you want to understand Donald Trump, understand that everything he did in finance and real estate and everything, he's just a frustrated actor. He wanted to be in the pictures.
That actually makes a lot of sense to me. He was at Home Alone 2. He had, what did he do before he was president? He ran a game show. He was a game show host. He's the biggest celebrity.
He also is like somebody who he performs in his leadership. And like, so there's a piece of the book where he's arguing in his first term. He's arguing with somebody and he picks up and throws something on his desk because he really wants this general to like he's fucking furious with this general. And then one of his aides goes and meets him in another room, and all Trump can do, he has this broad smile. He's like, "Do you like the throwing? I just had that idea in the middle of it. I just had that idea. Like, I think he really believes it. Like, that is a thing. There is a level of artifice that is built in to Donald John Trump, 2-term president of the United States.
That, you know what, to take a page from the jury playbook, it is dangerous to try to develop theories of mind for Trump. I acknowledge that, and I don't want to get sucked in. That being said, though, that resonates with me. I was talking to my friend Mohit the other day, and he was theorizing that what Trump really wanted to do was be the beloved mayor of New York City. He wanted to be beloved in New York City, and he could never get it. He was always a little too gauche. He was always a little too brash. No one ever really liked him. So he's slumming it as president of the United States, but really would prefer to be beloved icon of New York City. And when he met Mamdani, seemed to really like the guy. And like, you can kind of see like, oh, maybe I'll be friends with this one.
Anyway, patreon.com/we're-not-wrong. You get a bonus episode of the show on patreon.com/we're-not-wrong each and every week. And this week, it's going to be if junk food is the new cigarettes and should be prosecuted as such. You can get that at patreon.com/we're-not-wrong. And this is really just an easy segue into our next topic, which also revolves around the presidency of the United States. Vanity Fair's new Chris Whipple profile presents Susie Wiles, the chief of staff to the president, is revealing, so revealing indeed, that many thought it could cost her job the morning that it was released. Based on months of on-the-record interviews, the piece depicts Wiles as a disciplined, unsentimental facilitator of Trump's will rather than a restraining influence. She openly defends hardline policies on deportations, tariffs, and executive power while acknowledging internal chaos and mistakes, particularly around USAID and mass deportations. Wiles describes Trump as having an alcoholic's personality, but frames that volatility as something to be managed, not corrected. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and Stephen Miller are cast as loyal enforcers, the junkyard dogs, operating with Wiles' tacit approval. Among the other revelations, She calls Elon Musk an avowed ketamine user, says military action against Venezuelan drug boats about Maduro are about Maduro crying uncle and leaving the country and not about the drug trade, and slammed Attorney General Pam Bondi's handling of the Epstein files. Jen Briney, anything in the Wiles piece that you didn't know? Anything that you learned?
I'd say this confirmed things more for me. I found Wiles to just be a fascinating character here because from the very beginning, she is admitting that she's doing these interviews and that the Trump people don't know. So it's like this interview was going to come out eventually. What is she doing? Like, is she trying to get herself fired? So just the whole fact that this existed was fascinating to me. Very odd, because she also seems like a smart woman who's proud of the job. So why would she torpedo?
Revered as somebody who doesn't like the spotlight.
Yeah. So it's very, very odd, but like, God, I'm glad she did it. There are some great quotes in there. Calling Elon an odd duck. Like, yeah, he fucking is. And you could tell she just like did not enjoy that entire period.
And he slept in a sleeping bag in the White House. Now, I haven't slept in the White House, but I'm guessing they've got a guest room, right? Like,
no. It was the Eisenhower building. He was sleeping in, in a sleeping bag. That was reported at the time, but yeah,
he's always
a fucking
done that.
Weird guy.
It's such a weird thing. He's been sleeping at Tesla forever. When he started SpaceX, he slept there. There's some kind of like pride he takes in never not working. He's odd
Also,
duck.
when you have that many kids, you got to go to weird places to stay away from them.
Says the new dad.
That's why he joined the Trump administration. He's like, this is really far away from my.
Well, I mean, like when you have like
children.
50,000 kids, like you're starting to run out of real estate to be out of their hair.
Yeah, but when you spend no time with them, like what's the difference? He just like,
well, you don't want to accidentally start spending time with them. You don't want to turn the corner and be like, shit, it's one of mine.
I guess so. But yeah, we got confirmation from him or from her that guy sucks. For me, I'd say like the most important, because I've mentioned it a few times here, I find the attacks on the boats to be probably the most unconscionable thing I've ever seen. And like, I was alive in the George W. Bush administration. So when she said about Trump, quote, he wants to keep on blowing up boats until Maduro cries uncle, unquote. That makes the motive so crystal clear that it's regime change and that they're murdering innocent people not because, or they're murdering people not because those individuals are doing anything that threatens us, but because it is some kind of game with Maduro. So that is something I would like to be seen used in an impeachment proceeding. And then she also said about her own role in all this, because she's like the Leo McGarry to President Bartlett here. Like if you're, in West Wing world. I know I did it. But this is how like people know things about television. She's the chief of staff, right? And she said, quote, I hear stories from my predecessors about these seminal moments where you have to go in and tell the president what he wants to do is unconstitutional or it will cost lives. I don't have that, unquote. So it's just, she's not babysitting this fucking fool. I think it's obvious in his actions. And she is open about it. And then, finally, the last thing that she said that I think just also explains everything. She said about Trump, he said it 1,000,000 times, I judge people by their genes, unquote. Now, that was in reference to the fact that her father was a football star. And so that's kind of how she got into his orbit. And that's one of the things that he respects. Like he liked her father and therefore like he likes her. But I judge people by their genes. It explains so much about the immigration policy. So, none of this is surprising to me, but it was kind of jaw-dropping that it was this blunt from his chief of staff.
Heaton, anything you learned from Susie Wiles talking to Vanity Fair?
The thing that surprised me was she ran John Huntsman's campaign. Was she the campaign manager for that? Blew my mind.
She was.
So
yeah,
John Huntsman, because like John Huntsman's one of the sane Republicans I wish was president right now. Like I would love it if like it was like a John Huntsman, Jeff Flake presidency, or like John Huntsman, Mitch Daniels. Like he's part of that old, they're part of that like not cabal, poor choice of words. Like the old guard of Republicans that got ousted that I think would have been good Republicans that I could have got behind. I like John Huntsman. I think John Huntsman's a super smart guy. Back in 2016 when he was running, and they did. There were like 50 people running for president, and they went, would any of you ever would everybody here commit to never raise taxes ever? And John Huntsman was the only one that was like, I would raise taxes under certain situations, which is a good answer. There are times where you need to raise taxes. The situation might call for it. He was the only guy that did it. And then after that, he was dead in the water. So I'm surprised that somebody that was running Huntsman's campaign would become this close to Donald Trump. They seem so radically different that I would love to know what the conversion was for her to go from the Huntsman camp to the Trump camp.
They were both outside of the mainstream of Republican orthodoxy. That's the common thing.
Or she's just a power-hungry person who saw Donald Trump as a possible winner and jumped on that bandwagon. She could just be self-serving like the rest of them.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, everybody in politics, you don't tie yourself to losers, because they're not going to be on the ballot next time.
I would hope that some of them would have morals, but this woman.
Politicians have morals?
Yes. I don't like this whole line that politicians are like all bad people. Like, I do think people get into this game to do good. And
no, they're not bad people. They're just
I'm not that
sociopaths.
cynical.
They're an empty vessel.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think we have empty vessels. I think we have bad people who are politicians, but I don't think the nature of trying to serve your country it makes you a bad person. I don't like that like common phrase that we've just said again on this show. Like, I don't think it's true.
Jen, shed this moralistic thing. No. Let me talk to Jen. You believe that they're sociopaths, right?
I really don't. No, I really don't. Okay. I've been watching these people for 13 years. They are human beings to me. No, I genuinely don't. I can even look at the people whose opinions I absolutely despise. Mitch McConnell is right up there with one of the people I think has done the most damage to this country. But I can also see why he does what he does and thinks that he's doing good. I think he's fucking wrong. But I think that if we just dismiss all of these people as bad, we're not understanding why things are the way they are. So no, I don't think that in any way.
I never said they were bad. I said that they were.
You said they're sociopaths, but yes, I think that's an actual term. Bad. No, I think that's an actual term. I think
it is an actual term
without morals and ethics.
Accurately.
No, it's not accurate. Okay, you are just trying to piss me off.
I think as the uniter, not the divider here, we can both have we could have a little column A, a little column B here, right? They are human. That's true. And this is, I think, on the flip side, the problem that we get into a lot of the time is we don't apply public choice theory to politicians. Politicians are people. It does matter to them that they keep their job. In fact, that's really high on the list of things that they want to do. They want to get along with their relatives at Thanksgiving. They want to have a clear career track. And these are all autocentric human tendencies which preclude people from being the Platonic ideal of a public servant, because they are just human. They are human and they're operating there. I do think, I'm going to expand a little bit. I think the higher you get in complex hierarchies, the more likely you are to not have a sense of shame. And this applies to like CEOs of corporations too. Like if you're a CEO of a corporation, likelihood that you can fire people and just go, yep, it's just numbers, it's not personal, is higher than if you're like the team manager and you're interacting with everybody. So I think that you're going to get, the higher people get up, a lack of shame, and that becomes a pro when you get into really big politics. Like if you're running for the Senate, you have to be okay with millions of people hating you. And there's like in media and in our line of work, like I'm had Jason Pargin on the show this week, and he talked about how if you want to just triple your income, just sow divisiveness and you can do it. And there's a lot of people in media that are really big that are doing that. So it doesn't mean everybody's a sociopath.
Like Justin on this show.
No, if we were to see Dark Justin, just like Dark Justin, if you were to apply.
This is Benadryl me.
Heroin Justin. If Justin just went, I could be Candace Owens if he wanted to. He has the acuity and the mental sharpness to pull it off. He lacks the depraved.
I want to have friends. I want to have friends I can look in the eye. Like once you cross a certain line of depravity, then you really only have hangers on who see their own success in you. And so you don't really have meaningful relationships, in my opinion. but I like talking to you guys. Like, yes, mostly because I'm an annoying person and there's only so many people that will get this close to me. So I need to cling to you guys like a life raft in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean after the Titanic sinks.
Ipso facto, the fact that in the media universe, I'm basically in the Oort cloud at the outer edge of the solar system must mean I am deeply, deeply integrative. And that's the explanation. It's not a lack of
exactly.
It's because I'm integrative.
I will say I learned that the person who takes photos for Vanity Fair fucking hates everybody that he took photos of. Jesus Christ.
I know.
Those photos were fucking like, I'm telling you, the picture they posted of Caroline Leavitt, who is in her 20s. People have gotten killed for less than that shit. like that is an act of violence against a woman who is on television and speaking for the administration every day. Like,
let me be the one to explain why so that you don't get in too much trouble here.
Go ahead, please. Thank you.
She's 28 years old. It is extremely zoomed in. And I think the thing that I couldn't stop looking at was all of the individual markings for her lip injections on her upper lip. Like, I've never, if you see my upper lip, it doesn't exist. So you know that I don't get them. And I've never considered getting them. Now I never fucking will because it looks really bad. And she's also
granted, only really bad when you zoom in and then draw the contrast up really high. So the reds look really red and the whites look really white. But yeah, no, I had to have a conversation with a fucking 50-plus-year-old man about why her lips looked like that. And I'm like, they're called lip injections. He's like, what's a lip injection? And I'm like, I don't know. Every woman under 40 thinks about it. I have no idea why. I think it was a Kardashian thing. But for whatever reason, women think that they need to have their lips plump on a level
fish
that
lips
looks
became
weird.
popular at some point, and I know a bunch of people that they do the injections and then they take their liner and they draw it above the injections and like they literally look like fish. I don't think it's a good look, but it is the MAGA face.
It's a thing.
It's I don't think it looks good. Hence, I have no upper lip. But man, they zoomed in close on that. Like it's impossible not to see. You're not being nitpicky if you see this in this picture.
No.
And then her skin is also very dry and wrinkly to a point that like I was a pretty heavy drinker and my skin never looked like that when I was 28. So it's just incredibly unflattering.
Fucking insanely so, to the point where the female host of the New York Times interview podcast, she was like, this is an unkind photo. Like, you really shouldn't have run. This is just being
That being
mean.
said, though, have you ever seen a picture of Stephen Miller where you're like, God, what a socially well-adjusted, handsome man? Like,
Can I tell you a thing that I will, once I tell you it, you will never not unsee it, both in the way he looks, the faces he makes, and the way he talks. He's alternate version Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave. And once I've told you that,
do not ruin Tim Robinson for me.
You will never not see Tim Robinson in Stephen Miller every time that he talks.
I don't know who that is.
Stephen, what is he, deputy?
No, I know who Stephen Miller is. I don't know who Tim Robinson is.
I Think You Should Leave is a sketch comedy show on Netflix. He's also been in a movie with Paul Rudd that just came out, and then he's got an HBO show called The Chair Company.
He's a brilliant comedian. He's a brilliant
very funny. That I Think You Should Leave is probably the defining sketch comedy show of its era. Yeah, but he has a very specific kind of comedy, and like he's got this kind of like head move, and like he sort of talks like this. But Stephen Miller has kind of the same thing where he's like, but he's just talking about like the migrants need to go. Bop, 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 bop.
Yeah, Stephen Miller, I think, is an actual bad person. I did hear a rumor about him though, and Justin, you might actually know the answer. Is it true that he's only 5'4"? Is he a peanut?
I know that that's an insult people have for him.
Because it would explain so much, but I don't. In the picture in Vanity Fair, they had him standing with everyone else, and he looked like one of the taller people.
Yeah, I don't think that is true. There are other people in government that are little tiny, like toy men, like Reince Priebus, small guy.
Oh, were you there when we saw Gerald Nadler at the convention? Because he was like a teeny tiny little meatball, and I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, he's like a full fucking sphere. Yeah, he was
globe. Very round. Like he is as wide as he is tall, and that's mainly because he is very, very short. So
he's a little. He's like the little black kid in Hook.
Or like if John Goodman didn't go on Ozempic, like it just kept growing.
No, John Goodman's a big dude.
John Goodman's tall.
Yeah, he's taller than me. But I guess it's amazing to me after I watch these like powerful people, especially the powerful men. And Gerald Nadler was, one of the people in the first Trump administration who was one of the most fierce opponents of him. They're from New York. They hate each other. He was like such a big character to me. So to walk by the man and be like, oh, like if you tried to like kiss my boobs, you'd have to look up. It was shocking.
What an evocative statement. An illustrative statement. Oh my God. I don't know where we can go from there. We're not wrongpod at gmail.com is where you need to go if you want to email in about this show. All That Glitters writes, by pure coincidence, I landed in Budapest the day after Jen left. Funnily enough, I was on the same Viking cruise route for my honeymoon that she was on, just in the opposite direction. As a self-appointed junior WNR field correspondent, I've done some very light investigation into local politics. I saw this picture at least a dozen times in various places. Will, just go ahead and flash that picture up on the screen right now. I am only reading this email because Jen, unbidden, put this in our group chat and I translated it on ChatGPT. It is a picture of Ursula von der Leyen, Volodymyr Zelensky, and Magyar Peter. And if you don't know who that is, it's Orban's greatest political rival. And in Hungarian, it says, they raise your taxes and flush it down a golden toilet. And that is exactly what they are doing. But it's shot from above, so it looks like parents catching a bunch of kids doing something fucked up. Jen, what was your reaction when you saw this?
Well, so I was on my way to the airport, which is I think it was a less than 30-minute Uber ride from downtown Budapest to the airport. And we were kind of counting from the beginning because I saw it and I was like, oh my God, I immediately recognized von der Leyen and Zelensky. And so I snapped a picture of it. And then we just kept seeing it. And by the time we got to the airport, we had seen it 27 times. And so even though I knew it was the middle of the night for you guys, and apologies if I woke you up, I was like, I have to show them this, like 27 times. And sometimes it would be one after another. So you could see it 4 times in this one part of the row. Yeah, like it's, I would love to know who funded this ad because it was everywhere on those roads. So I think it's really funny that this listener saw the same thing because it was, it caught my eye.
We had a fun time in the group chat with it.
Yeah, for sure.
I speak for the Seuss, writes, I have to take issue with Justin's assertion that Ted Giesel, which is Dr. Seuss's real name for those who aren't Seuss heads, was anti-Semitic. Ted and my Jewish grandfather were very close from the early 50s through Geisel's death in 1991.
Cool.
They spent huge amounts of time together, both socially and in professional collaborations. This was the time when Jews were openly banned from restaurants and country clubs. Simply put, my grandfather was not one to tolerate anti-Semitism of any kind. If Ted had uttered a single anti-Semitic word, it would have been the end of their friendship. One can draw racism allegations toward the Japanese in his early career, but frankly, this was common post-World War II. This was gone by the time that Horton Hears a Who came out, which is an allegory for the U.S. occupation of Japan. So I emailed this person directly because I wanted to have a conversation with them. But let me just say, if anybody assumed that my weird obsession with the idea that how the Grinch Stole Christmas is an allegory about an anti-Semite conquering anti-Semitism has taken that for me to mean that Dr. Seuss was an anti-Semite, please allow me to disabuse you of that notion. I revere Dr. Seuss, and I've only more revered Dr. Seuss now that I've had to read children's books to my young daughter, and I will continue to read children's books. Let me tell you this, they fucking suck. They're terrible. Except Dr. Seuss's gift was apparent when I was a child. It was apparent when I was a teenager. And it is apparent even now, as decades have passed, and nobody has done it as good as Dr. Seuss did back in the day. I have always loved specifically Dr. Seuss's allegorical storytelling, including Horton Hears a Who. Obviously, The Lorax is a story about environmentalism. The Butter Battle Book is a story about endless military buildup and the nuclear arms race. Sneetches on Beaches with Stars Upon Thars is about racism, none of which is something that is cloying or hits you over the head. It is just a point that is made in a fantastical world that makes you confront certain truths that this author wanted to get across. It's the reason why I have felt comfortable saying that about How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I love Dr. Seuss. When Islands of Adventure opened at Universal Studios in the 2000s, and around it were Jurassic Park, a movie that I loved, Marvel comics that I loved. The first land that I made our friends go to as teenagers was Dr. Seuss World. So, love Dr. Seuss. I was not referring to him as anti-Semitic. All I was saying was that if Ted Giesel was somebody who drew some questionable images in his younger days, and then eventually grew as a person, that maybe he would see himself in the Grinch, somebody that had preconceived notions about a group of people, then tried to hit them in what he thought would be their most vulnerable spot, commercialism and materialism, only to realize that there was something more he didn't understand and to be better for it. And there we go. That being said, this emailer told me who his grandfather was, and he was a muckety muck in Hollywood, and then said a bunch of other people who were famous who were anti-Semites. Boy, did I love it. Just getting a list of old Hollywood anti-Semites. That's very funny to me.
That's great.
Yellow Diamonds Look Like Pee-Pee writes, longtime fan of the show, brought to the podcast by my boy Jury. This is not about any one thing in particular, but more of a cumulative observation from listening to all you guys for 2 years now. You need more black friends. There are moments on the show where you guys say things that make me shake my head. I'm not saying it's racist or harmful. It's just more like when somebody brings potato salad to the barbecue and you find out that they used Miracle Whip and raisins. That said, Justin is officially invited to the cookout. He earned his plate solely because of his appreciation of the new Clips album. Mad respect for that. But I swear to God, if you start talking about how Trump is like K-Dot, you're on your own, man.
You're on your own, man.
Fair point. In all seriousness, though, thank you for another year of fantastic content. You guys genuinely make me smarter, and I appreciate the nuance you bring to the table. Blackface takes notwithstanding.
Fair.
You know, who could even say
what inspired this one?
I don't even remember what that was about. Please continue reading.
I've attached a screenshot of my Spotify Wrapped where We're Not Wrong is sitting pretty at number 2 and the rest of your individual shows are locked in the top 10. Jen, if you weren't so busy doing ridiculous things like taking care of your mental health instead of feeding the content beast, you'd be higher up on the list. And there is his Spotify Wrapped. PX3 number 1, We're Not Wrong number 2, Politics with an X number 3, which I've never heard of, but we should be friends with them considering the shared audience. Political Orphanage number 4, Words and Numbers number 5.
Great guys.
Can I just respond real quick to that last thing?
Yes.
I actually have recorded more episodes this year than I ever have, but it's because on Congressional Dish, I'm doing this series called Last Week in Congress for the people that pay me for my work. And so Congressional Dish, the public gets 2 episodes, but the people who listened on Patreon, I think I did 42 extras for them. I know, like, I'm not getting paid for a lot of this work. I don't think I'm doing this wisely, but yeah, I do a lot of content, but it's just not all for the public. So, but yes, thank you for saying that. And I did notice that Congressional Dish is not on a lot of those lists, and like my pride hurts a little bit. Like I would like to see it there, but I also get that I don't have enough episodes to get on there.
And because it's time listened. It's literally just like, that's why like PX3 tends to be up there, especially if they have like the Substack feed, because like they're like ripping through.
Yeah.
Whereas my mental health is like flimsy at the moment and sitting pretty at number 4. I'll take that deal. I've got a question for the listener. I appreciate this email very much, and I appreciate you listening to our shows. I would like to have more black friends. Walk me through how I can do this, though, without just tokenizing people, right? Because if I just like call somebody up and I'm like, hey, Jerry, you're black. I feel like I need to spend more time with black people. Then I'm just treating him as like a cardboard cutout of a race. I don't want to do that. Like, what do I do? I don't know. Invite me to your cookout. Sounds like I need it.
Don't. No, you can't say that. That's how you don't get invited to the cookout.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Okay. Square this circle for me, gang. I don't know what to do here.
You literally just have to be the number one. You've already found your in, and that is you just need to be friends with well-dressed black men, older black men.
That's true. You know what?
You need to be with the unks, as they say.
Yeah. You know what? I need to go back to that black cigar bar in DC. Those were well-dressed dudes. And I'm guessing like just get a scotch, plop a spot, and hang out. You're right. That's the end. Okay, thanks.
On the J6 pipe bombing suspect arrested, which you're going to see takes a turn. Gate Pride writes, my operating level of credulity is big if true. The story by The Blaze was flimsy, and I wonder if it would have been published had the author not been absolutely motherfucked after January 6th. I also don't think that the FBI found the pipe bomber. I think the FBI would have more luck finding a domestic terrorist by drawing names of GS-13 field agents out of an FBI snapback than whatever it did to find this patsy. Whatever you think, it should be apparent that Patel and Bongino are out of their depth, even before factoring in the possibility of an entrenched bureaucracy that views it as consequential as the speed bumps in the employee parking lot. Let me decode this and just say this is somebody obviously from the right who is sympathetic to over-prosecution of January 6 people, who is saying that Kash Patel and Bongino have not brought the reform that they were hoping to the organization. If I'm incorrect, please send me another email. But I believe that is the gist of what was said. Not giving up on the idea that this is a inside job. Public figure private shame, writes, just worth noting, Justin described the libel rules for public figures, willful negligence and actual malice. That does not count to private figures. You are dead right. I would like to apologize to Professor Roy Gutterman of Syracuse University for putting my comm law skills so woefully misapplying them on this show. There is a higher or a lower bar to sue an outlet that makes you public when you would otherwise not want to be. So this woman does have a tremendous case against The Blaze. If I were Glenn Beck, I would be offering a settlement today.
I would like to apologize to Professor Gutterman for hitting on his mom.
I shouldn't. In the spirit of not making a private citizen public, I have Roy Gutterman stories that I don't want to tell. All right. Law and Order writes, 2020 election denial may be a strategy the Cole defense team is employing in order to try and get the case to fall under the pardon issued by Trump for January 6 defendants, irrespective of Cole's actual beliefs one way or another. Which I have heard that before, that if he did do it, he could just say, oh yeah, I thought the 2020 election was rigged. And be like, oh, do I slip into that blanket pardon that was issued?
I still don't get. No, that defense doesn't fly because you still don't get to try and murder people. The defense isn't going to work.
And at that point, nobody else had anything to say about the actual story. Instead, all they wanted to do was email in about the one fact that this suspect that has been brought in was apparently very active on My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fan boards and was what is colloquially understood by the term brony. Male fans of the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic board. We begin. 3 emails that were worth selecting for the actual story. Many, many more on this topic. We begin. Brony writes, I'm a bro and a fan of MLP Friendship is Magic. Fluttershy is best pony, followed by Twilight Sparkle. Jen, your thoughts?
I don't know. I've heard of Twilight Sparkle. That's all I got.
You have heard of Twilight Sparkle?
Yeah, I had nieces that were young once, and they liked Twilight Sparkle. And I said, okay. And that's as far as it went.
Hey, you know what? Everybody likes Twilight Sparkle. Nobody's saying anything negative about Twilight Sparkle. I'm just going to say that your priorities are wrong here. Twilight Sparkle routinely saves, Fluttershy. Excuse me.
Shuttershy.
Twilight Sparkle is the better one here. Twilight Sparkle routinely saves Equestria through planning, study, and leadership. What does Fluttershy do? Fluttershy is skilled at being nice until monsters quit attacking. All right, that's laudable in terms of personal skill sets, but in terms of protecting Equestria from monster attacks, not going to do the thing. What you need is Twilight Sparkle. Twilight Sparkle is basically
valor.
like
That's what this is.
A FEMA camp runner during a dragon invasion. Sign me up for Twilight Sparkle any day of the week.
All right. I'm glad that you polluted your ChatGPT for that. Subs versus dubs. Right. I just wanted to include this little tidbit on the sub versus dub debate. It isn't only on this side of the Pacific. Japanese weeaboos have been arguing about the proper way to watch King of the Hill. I don't know too much more about it, but now I'm trying to imagine what the Japanese dub would be for Hank's Bah.
I want to know. So there's a proper way to watch King of the Hill. Like, do you dress Texan before you?
All right.
Like, what would the watching etiquette be?
Anime, there is a argument, a long, boiling to this day argument of what the best way to watch anime is. Do you watch it with subtitles, therefore listening to Japanese voice actors, often the originals, perform the anime, or do you listen to an English dubbed version? So you are connecting more with the natural language, but you are losing the intonation of the characters, and therefore you are, theoretically losing something. And so apparently Japanese fans of King of the Hill have had this fight where they would rather hear the American actors say things like "Bah," instead of whatever the Japanese performer would say instead of that.
That's really interesting because, like, to get back to My Little Pony for a moment, I mean, like, Twilight Sparkle is deftly played by Tara
We have
Strong.
so many
And
fucking, we have so
you
many
were,
emails.
If you were to just skip over that and the joy and majesty of Lena Headland portraying that role in favor of somebody dubbing it, you'd miss half of the emotion.
Hey, do you think that the IDF went too far? Or do you think
that took a turn?
I'll do anything to fucking knock it off. I honestly.
Wow. Next email.
Horseshoe theory, right? There's a joke in the X fandom that bronies either turn into staunch leftist LGBT allies or right-wing extremists with no in-between. I'd buy it.
I'm working on a separate horseshoe theory. I was talking to somebody about Switzerland. Like, they don't have a president. They just have like a head of the council or something. But you talk to Swiss people and you're like, who's your head of government? And they like think about it for a minute and then they tell you. So this is my new horseshoe theory. If you have to think about the president of your country, something's either gone very, very well or very, very wrong. One of those two things. Either it's gone completely off the rails or it's working so well you don't even have to think about it.
My Little Pony is just anime for American girls, writes. Number 1, we can solve this through the power of friendship. Number 2, early villains having a turn of heart and learn the error of her ways and become good. Number 3, main character has hidden powers that he or she unlocks while getting older and learning more about the world, and so on. Note, I know some weeb is going to point out that I'm just referencing shonen anime, and this doesn't apply to other types of anime, and my response to that is, weeb, go touch grass.
Yeah, I'm going to echo those sentiments. Those weebs, right? Always not touching grass. You know what this kind of reminds me of, though? It kind of reminds me of Batman the Animated Series. What I really enjoyed about Batman the Animated Series, in addition to being fairly dark, is that they explain how all of the villains became villains. Every one of them has a backstory where they went from normal person to tortured evil villain. And it kind of trains you to understand people as humans, to go all the way back to our earlier conversation about public choice theory and whether or not politicians are sociopaths.
Have you guys heard of the term weeaboo before this email segment?
I haven't heard of half of what the hell we're talking about, so no.
Weeaboo
I feel like this is a whole different world.
I call them
weeaboo is a
grassphobes.
term for Western people, usually whites, but
bring Miracle
Black
Whip
Hispanic
and
as
raisin
well.
infected potato salad to parties, like those kind of weights. Yeah,
that are obsessed with Japanese culture. They love Japanese culture.
I know a few of them.
Now, what's funny about it is that my friend Nicholas Gerwich created the word, but totally outside of it, he used to write a comic, probably still writes a comic, called Perry Bible Fellowship. And he had an early comic that he wrote back in college where there's like a boardroom and it's like a big chart down. And they're like, all right, guys, any way that we can save the company? I'm going to paraphrase this. And one guy raises his hand and says, well, I think we could save a lot of money by getting rid of Weeaboo. And then the rest of the boardroom goes, did somebody say Weeaboo? And then the final frame is they have a paddle out and they're all chanting like Weeaboo. So it's like they're gonna ritually paddle this guy who said the word. For whatever reason, that has become synonymous with Western fans of Japanese culture and anime specifically.
That's
Weeaboo
cool.
or Weeb for short.
I want to create a catchphrase that actually sticks. It's pretty badass.
Yeah. I actually asked Nick about it one time, and he's a very ethereal guy. And he just was like, yeah, it's very strange. That was it. That's all he had, which makes sense.
He made fetch happen. It's the dream.
Yeah. Furry Friend writes, I found the furry fandom through Disney movies like Robin Hood, the 1973 one where he's an anthropomorphic fox, The Rescuers, and Zootopia. My boyfriend found it through Catgirls and anime. Neither of us are bronies, although a mutual friend who actually introduced me to my new boyfriend got his start in the My Little Pony fandom and eventually crossed over into furry. He isn't active in brony circles these days, though I think he still considers himself one. He once forced my boyfriend to watch a few episodes of Friendship is Magic, but he didn't like it. I've seen a couple episodes. It's all right, but in terms of a kid show with a surprisingly large adult audience, I think Bluey is more my style.
Really burying the lead there. Like, if you're going to talk about furries, we want to know if you fuck. That's it, right? Isn't that the thing with furries is like you go to conventions and fucking costume. If not, correct the record here.
Oh my God. I want to remind everybody.
More emails.
No emails about emails. Never been happier. Never been happier for the no emails about emails room.
Yeah. Andrew doesn't see the emails. Don't fucking bother.
Don't. Email
He's
them directly.
just trolling you.
Mostly of you fucking as a furry. All right. Glue Factory writes, I will happily poop on bronies. 8 years ago, I took my 4-year-old son to a Build-A-Bear just to find a line of these dorks with a pony in each hand. I had to stand in that line with an increasingly impatient child for over an hour and a half because they needed to get one of these stupid horses.
That would piss me off too.
Worlds Collide writes, as a humble low-level brony and a high-level in some specific circles Trekkie, it has come to my attention that you are dangerously unaware of the semi-official, universe-spanning, multi-dimensional connection between these two franchises. There is a major recurring character in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic named Discord, the demigod of chaos. He greatly enjoys popping into an episode to cause some good old-fashioned mayhem to test the bonds and worthiness of the friendship between our main characters. And when he pops in, it's with a very familiar flash and sound effect. But here's the best part. This glorious chaotic character is voiced by none other than John Delancey, who plays him using the same delightfully mischievous voice he perfected as Q. Discord is essentially Q after deciding that the Enterprise crew was getting too predictable and moving on to harass a more colorful and fun crew of magical unicorns. This is chaos. This chaos is canon, Andrew. There's a lot to love about this show. Maybe someday you can enjoy it with baby Bella. So you applying my daughter's time to your fucked up connection.
This is a very strong pitch here that you're making. This is a very strong pitch. Love Q, love Star Trek: The Next Generation, and the Q episodes in Deep Space Nine. Not so much in Voyager. And no, this is great. This is great. I'm half inclined to check it out now. Not just because I like Applejack and Rarity and the core themes of personal growth, self-improvement, and diversity of strengths, but now because the great John Delancey is apparently involved. Maybe I'll check it out.
And even more than that, John Delancey produced and narrated a documentary about brony fandom, writes, hopefully this makes sense. The whole thing is up on his YouTube channel for free. Heaton, do you commit to watching the entire documentary?
I'm going to pull a John Huntsman here. I might watch it under certain circumstances, but I'm not going to commit to necessarily do it. I am the John Huntsman of bronies.
There we go. We need 2 shirts designed. We need I'm the John Huntsman of bronies. And we need the sexiest picture of Ted Kaczynski because we're going to make $1 billion selling them to high school seniors. Oh, We're Not Wrong is a production of Dog and Pony Show Audio. No wonder we have a crossover with this fandom. Our editor is Will Saddleberg. Jen, what is on Congressional Dish this week?
So this week is going to be last month in Congress. So that was November 2025. That was the end of the shutdown. I tell you about the rest of the laws. And then I had to do a follow-up to a previous episode because I had done an episode with testimony from the CDC director who had been fired after less than a month. One of the reasons that she was fired is that RFK Jr. essentially asked her to accept the recommendations made about vaccines from this committee. And she refused to do that. So he fired her. And in that hearing, they were talking a lot about hepatitis B. But in the meeting that had happened the next day, they didn't change the recommendations. So I just left all those clips out of the episode. But that same committee just had a meeting and they made changes to the hepatitis B vaccine recommendations for infants. And this is exactly what they were talking about in that hearing. And so I'm basically finishing that episode at the end of this one to give you those clips because they're swirling around in my head. And so I want everyone else to hear them too. So that should be out before Christmas.
Mr. Andrew Heaton, what's the ORF up to?
I was going to say some stuff about how RFK is the pinkie pie of the administration, but I'm going to hold back. I'm going to hold back on this.
Don't insult pinkie pie. It's not
say that on the orphanage. I have a great guest this week. I have the great Jason Pargin on the show this week. This is facilitated by listeners, which we very much appreciate. I've had listeners reach out and want to bring him on. I've been a big fan of Jason Pargin for a long time. Anybody familiar with Cracked about 15 years ago? Funny website. He was one of the executive editors on that. An
phenomenal writer.
He's a phenomenal writer. He made a huge impact on me. He wrote an article for Cracked called Enter the Monkey Sphere, which is how I became familiar with Dunbar's number, which I won't shut the fuck up about. I got that from Jason Pargin. And he's just a really, really funny writer. He wrote a book recently called I'm Starting to Have Second Thoughts About This Doomsday Box, which is both very funny but also touches on all these massive culture war issues in a way that doesn't inhibit the plot. And I brought him on to talk about it. We specifically talk about kind of internet psychosis and how the internet more and more is algorithmically primed to treat you as rage bait, to trick you into focusing on the angry shit and the kind of horror that sets in of not actually knowing what's happening because so much of the noise that's going on is just trying to get you to keep watching rather than actually penetrating to the truth. So it's a great chat with Jason Pargin. He's a really interesting guy. If you're a fan of Jason Pargin, you will absolutely love the episode.
In a just media world, he would have a very large platform. He would be elevated to, I would say a magazine, but now everything is kind of digital. But there would be a place, dare I say, even the Times or the Journal or the Post or something like that, that would just be we just want a column from you. We just want you to just write about internet stuff.
The bit that I was
really
kind of
fucking smart,
saddened by, and we ended up talking for about an hour off record, just hanging out, and he has a very large social media presence. He's very big on TikTok. He's very big on anything that involves Reels. The thing that kind of saddened me, I didn't even know because I'm not very active on social media. I know him as a phenomenal writer. I was just bummed out people don't know him primarily as a kick-ass novelist. But that's a fairly small portion of his portfolio because what he gets rewarded for is going on and doing the Reels.
Yeah. On PX3, a big reaction to the Susie Wiles story with myself and Kirk Beto from a DC media perspective, and a little review of the Olivia Newsy, Ryan Lizza fight, if any of that has crossed into your radar, including, I don't know who is going to enjoy me comping various different media writers as NFL quarterbacks, but that happens at the end of it. It's bizarre. And then we're going to talk about empathy on the Friday edition with Brian Brushwood. And the Rob Reiner stuff, kind of the latest in what I think is our political sphere calling out for there should be a different take on empathy. Nobody wants to be the first one to do it, but everybody wants it to be honored. And I think that says something. So we talk about that on Friday's edition. But that's it for this here program. Until next time, when we will do an episode on Christmas that will be a gathering of some of our presents to you, all of our individual shows, some of the best episodes that we did all year. We will be delivered in a massive present. It's usually a big hefty listen for you guys with a little commentary, original commentary from us. And then New Year's Eve or New Year's episode will be us going back through the year like we always do. We will have a beat on the regular stories in the new year. Until then, this is your old pal Justin Robert Young for Jen Briney and Andrew Heaton saying, we're not wrong. Fluttershy is.
Sparkle on.
Dog and Pony Show audio.